Visit the other rundown of our reality channels on BitChute, Rumble, and Odyssey for content that YouTube won't publish. Videos like Medbeds, Quantum Entanglement, and Your Digital Copy, or The Ritual Sacrifice of Matthew and Johnny Goudreau. The links are in the description.
So with the destruction of the United States, right, which is, I mean, it's going to start. It's going to be obvious once Trump dies. That's going to be the catalyst for a lot of people. And I think a lot of people are going to be contacting us about this Vanuatu thing for when that happens. We have 16 days before the election.
Civil War.
So
where
the start, the catalyst of the Civil War will begin. War will be declared, and then there will be enlisting of men. There'll be a draft of men and women, excuse me. There'll be the draft. There'll be, but the Civil War will be between the federal government and
the Trumpers
and the people. I don't know if you guys watched the Amazon movie Civil War, and that was, of course, the people won, just so you know. Anyway, exact opposite of Revelation. But they captured the president, and he died. So sorry to spoil it for you, but anyway, the whole narrative on that movie was, Americans were fighting Americans. If you were a foreigner, you'd pretty much be shot on sight because you weren't considered a real American. What was an American was different wherever you were in the country. So if you called yourself a Californian but you're in Texas, you would be shot on sight, sort of thing. That's just an example. That didn't happen in the show. That's just an example for me. So we have that coming Civil War. We have the draft. Then the economy crash, right? Because then BRICS will then enact because they own most of the oil. They own most of the gold. China's been buying the gold from everybody, all the countries. They'd buy jewelry and then they'd melt down the jewelry. So they have a ton of gold. BRICS is pretty much set. The West was ready to fall after COVID. Like, it's all set to fall. Since 2021, I'm like, how come we haven't fallen yet? It should be imminent. Like why isn't this? And it's because we're waiting for the full destruction or the narrative of the destruction to come. So now we have in the United States, when all this chaos happens, religions are going to take over some states. So like you have Montana is going to become a Muslim state. So if you practice Christianity in the Muslim state, well, you die. And then there's going to be the Noahide laws, where you break any specific laws, you die.
So praying to Christ, you die there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all of these are this whole purpose as well is to get everyone to hate religion. When you apply the bat crazy stuff that has happened throughout history, always started through the secret brotherhood societies, these cult societies. But anyway, the whole point is to get people to hate and report on people of faith. Thing that I don't know is the entire world going to crash, economic system going to crash at the same time, or is it going to be the West first? Because reports are, like China's system is failing too. Everywhere across the earth, it's all crashing. But anyway, all right. So what's her name? Kamala Harris becomes president. She, because of the war, there will be you can't have a new president, someone who is so rookie, in office when there's a war on. So they're going to need to bring in someone who has experience. Who has experience? Obama. So then Obama will get a new title to help organize the country in this chaos, and that's why he'll get this new Caesar-like position. He will do a lot of really good decisions at first, but then once everything is set up, then the chaos really rains down, and it won't be good at all. That's where they'll have the camps. They'll have there'll be massive disasters and all that sort of stuff. All internal strife, all internal struggle. Then there'll be the Marburg as well. So we have the Marburg. Everyone here knows what they need to take when Marburg comes, if anyone in their family or friends get sick.
No, what is...
Okay, so Marburg it's going to come in the food supply, in the water supply. They're literally telling us they're growing food plants in the scene, right? So how they're growing it is they will take a plant like a week or two before it goes to they go to harvest it, and they soak it in a nutrient dense bath, and this bath has the mRNA structures that they want in the plant, and it's coded in such a way that the plant will accept it. And so this stuff will go into the plant itself, and then the plant will start replicating it. What it looks like to me is Marburg, because they're going to tell us it's a virus again. Everybody here should know that viruses don't exist. Viruses are created by our body. They're the scrubbers. They clean out the cells, and when you're really dirty from the foods that you eat and the toxins all around you, your body then scrubs it all out of the cells. The cells spit out these scrubbers that are being called viruses, and we expel them through a cold. What is a cold? A cold is a cleanse. Your body is cleansing itself. So that's what a cold is. It's not a virus. You cannot pass it on to your family. If you're getting sick all at the same time, it's probably just triggering the cleansing effect that the body naturally does. In the health folder, there's a whole bunch of stuff that talks about the virus theory. Anyway, so
yeah, that's why I started taking nicotine patches, because you advised it.
So the foods, the water, it came in the water supply. It works so well, and most people still think it's solely frequency based, that COVID was frequency based, which absolutely, that technology exists. Don't deny that at all. But the COVID that runs through your body, goes through your kidneys, and then eventually to your lungs and stays in your system for 2 weeks. I got that during the time that I was literally writing the COVID zombie video. What was it, a year and a half ago now? So I got it during that time. I was making coffee, because when I really want to concentrate, I'll do a pot of decaf. Well, I was getting a lot done on that video, and I made 2 pots of coffee that day, straight from tap water. It took about an hour, 2 hours, for my body to really, something's wrong. And it was this real heavy, dull ache going through my kidneys. It started in my kidneys, and then it sort of wrapped around into my gut, and then it eventually came to my lungs. Unfortunately, I didn't know about nicotine at the time, but I do now. I have some cigars. But anyway, that's how I know, just through that experience. So it's coming through the water for sure. It's absolutely coming through the water. So make sure that you always drink filtered water, and also if you're going to eat vegetables, make sure that, go to a local farm, see if you have a local farm, set up something with them, or grow some yourself, get a grow tent, if it's going to be cold in the area, you can get a grow tent and keep it warm, and just if you have the room, and then just grow some. You don't need to eat tons of salads and things like that. If you have a cow or two, or depending on how big your family is. For example, if you have 5 kids and a bus, just make sure you have that sort of that food ready for you. Anyway, so the Marburg, I went a little tangent there, sorry. The Marburg is going to be bacterial, parasitic in nature. That's the flesh eating is going to be a parasite that is flesh eating. How do you get rid of parasites? There's many cleansing things that you could use to get rid of parasites. One of the cheapest things that you can do is gum spirit turpentine, which I keep saying. So you get gum spirit turpentine and you take a teaspoon of it. If you have young kids, that one's going to be tough, so it'll need to be masked somehow, because I'll tell you something, it does not taste, it's an acquired taste. So gum spirit turpentine. What's that?
I'll take it. I don't care.
Yeah,
my mom,
exactly.
My mom pretty much brought me up to eat healthy no matter what. So even if it doesn't taste good, I'll eat it. For my health.
Excellent. So you need gum spirit turpentine, and then let's say you don't have any gum spirit turpentine, right? How do you get it? You scar a pine tree, right? So you take off like about a square foot of bark, and then you cut into the pine tree a V, or more like a Y, a capital Y, and then at the bottom of the Y, that's where you put a little tiny spout, so the sap will then drip into a bucket, into any kind of container, and that's pure turpentine. Now, when it's 100% gum spirit turpentine, that's when you distill it through a distiller. So it's getting boiled and purified. So you don't need to do that step. Nothing's going to live in that in that turpentine, that concentrated form. But that's how you get it. It's easy. It's free. So you don't have to order it if you can't get it. There's going to be massive water shortages, right? Because all the systems are going to be shut down. This is when the zombies come as well. People are going to start to get fevers, and they're going to start to become extremely thirsty. And if they don't get water, they die, and then they reanimate. This is from Celestial. That's where I got that information from. And she goes into deep discussion on full-on dream mode. But within that discussion, prayer will save you, right? So she had remembered in her fear, in the dream, in her fear, she finally just started to pray, just a simple prayer, like, "My Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done." She started to pray a simple prayer, and it ran, or they ran. So this evil is defeatable through prayer. But you'll need water. People will need water. Yeah. And
it's like you said in the Great Awakening, right? Or the Dark Awakening. That's only prayer.
Yeah, that happens. The Black Awakening will come when the world is shut down. So that's when there's no power anywhere, there's no water, there's no supplies whatsoever. And it'll be absolute chaos. At the time of complete and utter chaos, the Black Awakening will begin. And if people don't know what super soldiers are, those are the ones who have been, when they're born, they're abused beyond belief. They have split minds, split personalities. Demonic entities are then take over. take over one of the shards. They call them soul shards or spirit shards, and the demon. And then basically, what will happen is that personality will be triggered. They'll all be triggered at the same time, and their goal is to cause as much chaos, murder, and mayhem to bring the Black Awakening. Or to bring the end, the war to God, that they believe they're going to win. So if you haven't read the Black Awakening, it's in the library. I believe Paul got that for us. Thank you, Paul. I believe there are copies now. They're getting reprinted. Someone got them and have been reprinting them, and they're not $1,000 for one book anymore. And also there's audio. So if you're driving around and you don't want to read, there's the Black Awakening up to chapter 14. I think there's like 80 chapters though, so you don't have the full book. And the guy's not doing it anymore. So I offered to help him to edit it. He just needs to record it. I'll edit it, but he said no. So, and then, but yeah, that's the Black Awakening, and obviously through prayer. So my Anatomy of a Prayer video, that Anatomy of a Prayer is Derek Prince, through his research. Anyway, so the Marburg. So you have the Marburg, that whole Black Awakening, and then the kinetic attack on the United States. Once everything is pretty much finished, we have the kinetic attack on the United States. Washington, D.C. is absolutely going to be destroyed, nuclear. The new capital of the United States will be in Phoenix, Arizona. Not a new Phoenix. I chuckled at that when I read that. That information came from Romana Didulo's channel. Ottawa in Canada is also going to be destroyed, utterly destroyed. And the new capital will be Victoria, which is on Vancouver Island.
Enoch, can I say something real quick?
You can say whatever you want real quick.
So you said some lady is to become the new president or prime minister of Canada, right?
Queen.
Okay. New queen. The Filipino lady or something like that? I'm not sure. Prophetess, quote unquote. The one talking about aliens?
In the whole chessboard video, I get into Romana Didulo a little bit, and I just mentioned like a scenario. I don't think that scenario is any way actually accurate now, but I was just getting into a scenario to get people to hate Christians at that time. Now, as we continue to learn, that's not how it's going to go down at all. But anyway, in there I explained who Romana Didulo is, and she has military guards on her in civilian clothing. And at the trucker rally, she was being escorted by military and civilian clothing. But if you go through her channel, I can send you the link. Start at the beginning. You can download it. You can download all the posts with Telegram, right? It'll give you it all in order, so you don't have to go through Telegram. And you could just see how quickly she falls into
madness.
Well, she's basically falling into the age of Aquarius, the new age, the false utopia that's coming, right? That's where a lot of information is. But that's also where, so I was following her and reading her posts. That's where Ben and I met, and and then we discussed like, this stuff's evil. Like, this stuff is really evil. They're like, yeah, totally. And so I got a lot of insight as to what's going to come in the future through that channel.
So we know United States is going to have Kamala as president. And so then I was thinking about yours, about Romana. And I'm like, oh crap, the whole North America's leaders are going to be women because my third cousin is the president of Mexico.
Your third cousin is the president of Mexico?
Yeah, Claudia. Claudia Pardo.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I don't associate with her whatsoever because she's a Kabbalist and evil as hell.
That family is in Kabbalism, and
Yes, they're a Kabbalist.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, if you're against Christ at that level, I'm not gonna associate with you, family or not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter. In the end times, when your children are against you, you have to be strong enough to leave your children. You have to be strong enough to leave your wife, your husband, your friends, your family,
and I've already been.
Yeah.
I've been prepared to leave my family.
So that's the. You talk to some people and you think, that's so evil. Well, no, if they're not going to listen, then you leave them to their as God commands.
Demise.
Leave them to their
demise.
Devices.
Yeah, the plagues and the famines and all that sort of stuff. Okay, all right. So, anyway, so that's kind of what the end's going to look like. But now, when the United States is destroyed, everyone on Earth is going to hate Obama. Everyone on Earth is going to hate Obama because Obama was in charge of all this destruction, right? So how does he get loved again? This is the narrative. World War III is over. When that kinetic war is over, he orchestrated the destruction of the evil alien empire that was controlling Earth for hundreds of thousands of years. We're seeded by the aliens, we're created by the aliens, and we were being used to feed them and for slave labor and all this other stuff. Off-world, even, they're going to go into slave labor and things like that. So what that really was a strategic strike that ended this war, this international war. So now we're going to be joining the Federation, this federation of planets, this alien federation thing, on the war against this other evil empire. I'm not kidding. He'll word it differently, probably far more eloquently, but that's it. And then all the evidence will come showing that all of what he's saying is true, right? So they'll show the Adrenochrome, they'll show all the horrors, and then they'll show that there were 777 books, not 66 in the Bible, because that is the full number of completion, right? When that gets done, now this is where the stuff gets real creepy. This is how the remnant will be. So the remnant will survive the purge, right? Oh, and by the way, the purge is the Black Awakening. Those purge movies, there's like 4 in the series. That's the Black Awakening. You know how in the very first video that I produced, and I put the rapture in there, I'm very sorry, that was a mistake. I was listening to others, not doing research. So that's what happens when you listen to others and you don't do your own research. We have the disclosure event. Everyone's going to learn about all this stuff that's been going on, and part of it is going to be, there's going to be bits of truth in it, because there has to be in order to get people to believe it, and then it's going to be filled with tons of lies. Now the one thing that's going to happen during this time too is the gospel is going to be shared in the disclosure event. The whole true gospel of Jesus Christ is going to be shared, along with all the other religions. And then the world is going to be told that these were created to control you. And then we are spirit beings, and we get recycled, basically. So when we die, we feed these evil aliens, right? And then we nourish them. But now, because we're no longer there for their nourishment, what happens is we will recycle, we will be renewed, right? So when we die, we will come back. So it's okay to kill us. We'll get a chance to come back, and try again and get it right this time. And also, the Great Delusion. The Great Delusion, I wrongfully thought, was also basically teaching the globe and the Big Bang Theory, all that sort of stuff. I mean, that's it is part of it. That was all of that so-called science, but we know as scientism is taught to remove God from your minds. That was the goal of all that teaching, so that the Great Delusion can come. God will allow people to succumb to the Great Delusion. When I talk about in that first video dimensions, and I also talk about a digital dimension. I think I talk about that in the MedBed video. There's a digital dimension that's been created. If you've ever given blood, for example, so the medical community has your DNA. No matter what, the medical community has your DNA. Most likely, that DNA has been used to grow another you. So there is another you present. Whether it's down in the ground, I don't know. It could be kept in cocoons like in the Matrix, right? I don't know. I don't know. But the reason why this is important is because of quantum entanglement. What is quantum entanglement, right? In the quantum realm, quantum entanglement, two things exist and are codependent, like codependent particles. I explain it in the video, in that MedBed video. So when you seed that identical copy of you, when they seed a new mind inside there through quantum, through the quantum technology, basically your mind can then be rewritten. So in the end times, we're no longer who we are now. We're a completely different person. We believe completely. We may not even remember who our husband is, or who our wife is, or our children, anything like that. The Great Delusion is a reprogramming of your mind in the end times. So you will follow everything to the letter. So the remnant who still have their minds, who still remember everything in the time before, have to pretend to be these rewritten people. They have to participate in everything. They have what's that?
Didn't Celestial talk about this? How
Yeah.
Once people get into delusion, they won't even remember you.
Yeah, that's what she says. And so what I figured out through that is how they do it, right? So she explains what it's done, but it's through the quantum taking of your blood, taking of your DNA, and then either digitally creating a digital you, copy of you, or a real organic copy of you. I would think it'd be more organic. Digital is easier, space-wise, but anyway, there's a copy of you, and that's how it's done. So whenever you go into the MedBeds, you could be rewritten. You could come out completely different, but everyone will be rewritten. So the remnant are the ones who have their mind protected.
Now, when you say remnant, is that the 144,000?
No. The 144,000 are the warriors.
Okay.
They're like the supers. They're in the descendants of Israel.
Exactly. Yeah. The remnant are the people who are truly with God. So after, when it all comes out of all the pedophiles within the church, no matter what denomination, right? It's to destroy the church, to hate the church. It's going to come out in the Buddhists, the all of them. That's the design, to get people to fall away. And when they fall away, their minds are no longer protected. Well, they never were with God to begin with if they fall away. But in the end times, they're not protected. This is why children will report. This is why, because their minds are rewritten. They're, what's that? I use the picture, body snatchers, right? They're no longer, like, it's the aliens, and they reprogram people and use those bodies. It's just like that. People are reprogrammed. That's the end times. Invasion of the body snatchers. So, does that make sense? Celestial is such a
God-fearing woman.
God-fearing woman. Like I'm so thankful to have found a prophet who can so eloquently explain this stuff. God has picked a real doing these videos that I do. You know, it's a lot of work, a lot of research, and how many has she done like that? All that tireless work. I'm very thankful. Just to get an idea of the end time. So if you're the remnant, and also during those times, right, in the remnant, you can't save anyone. We're all thinking, you're not preaching to anyone. Your job is to survive. You pray for them in secret, absolutely. Your job is to stay alive and to pray over people, pray over the land, but all in secret, because there's spy cameras everywhere. So you need to find a place that is super secret.
Just like Daniel.
Yeah. And so if you're in this world, right, you have to be smart. You have to be, because if you're caught, you are dead. And everyone will cheer because they no longer have their minds. They have to come out of it themselves. Once they come out of it, once they realize this is a lie, they will get their minds back.